The pitch sounds almost perfect. A worker who never sleeps, never calls in sick, never asks for a raise, never takes a vacation, never gets bored, never forgets a process, never complains about repetitive work, can speak many languages, can handle thousands of tasks at once, can be copied in seconds, can work every hour of every day, can be updated overnight, can be measured constantly, and can cost less than a human employee. Businesses have dreamed about this kind of worker for generations. Now the dream has a name: digital employee. The worker, autonomous agent, digital labor. The language changes from company to company. The promise is the same. Software is no longer only helping people work. Software is beginning to perform the work itself. That promise has created one of the most aggressive business stories in technology. Software companies no longer want to sell only tools. They want access to the labor budget. They do not want to charge $30 for another dashboard. They want to charge for completed work, resolved tickets, processed invoices, qualified leads, written code, reviewed contracts, scheduled appointments, investigated alerts, completed reports. The market opportunity sounds enormous because the labor market is much larger than the software market. A company can spend millions on salaries, benefits, recruiting, training, office space, management, and outsourcing. If the digital employee can handle part of that work, the vendor can argue that its price should be compared with a salary, not another software subscription. This is the bright side of the story. The dark side begins when companies start treating probabilistic software as if it were a reliable employee. A human worker has judgment, context, experience, a sense of consequences, the ability to notice when a request is strange, the ability to refuse, the ability to ask. A digital employee can imitate some of these abilities. It does not possess them in the same way. It predicts. It follows instruction. It uses tools. It can appear confident. It can produce a professional-looking result. And it can be wrong without knowing that it is wrong. The danger is not only that an AI agent makes a mistake. All workers make mistakes. The danger is that the mistake can be copied, accelerated, hidden, and repeated across an entire company. One human employee can send one incorrect email. A digital worker can send 10,000 before anyone notices. One employee can misunderstand one policy. An agent can apply the misunderstanding to every customer. One clerk can enter one wrong number. An automated system can move the same error through billing, inventory, reporting, and forecasting. Scale turns small failures into corporate events. This is the first dark truth about digital employees. The same quality that makes them valuable makes them dangerous. They scale. When the system works, productivity scales. When the system fails, failure scales too. The marketing language often focuses on speed. Deploy agents in days. Automate work instantly. Create a limitless digital workforce. But speed is not neutral. A faster worker can create value faster. A faster worker can also create damage faster. The company needs brakes, permission limits, approval rules, monitoring, logs, testing, emergency shutdown, human escalation. These controls reduce the magical feeling of autonomy. They also determine whether the system is safe enough to use. Many companies discover this after the demo. The demonstration looks easy. The agent receives a request, searches a database, writes a reply, updates a record. The room is impressed. Then production begins. The database contains duplicate records. Policies conflict. Customer information is missing. An old workflow still runs. The departments use different definitions. A third-party system returns the wrong status. The user asks an ambiguous question. A document contains malicious instruction. The agent has more permission than it needs. The model invents a detail. The action cannot be reversed. The digital employee was hired for a clean process. The real company is not clean. This is where the cost begins. The company must redesign the work, clean the data, define the rules, limit permission, create exception handling, train employees, measure performance, investigate failures, update prompts, test model changes, review external tools, monitor spending. The digital employee may be cheap. Preparing the company for the digital employee can be expensive. This is the second dark truth. Agents do not remove organizational chaos. They automate it. If a company has a bad process, the agent can run the bad process faster. If the policy is unfair, the agent can apply unfairness consistently. If data is incomplete, the agent can produce confident decisions from incomplete information. If managers do not understand the work, automation can hide the confusion instead of solving it. Executives often want AI to fix productivity. The real problem may be poor management, too many approvals, conflicting goals, bad incentives, unclear ownership, outdated systems, weak training. Agents can become a convenient distraction. The company buys technology, announces transformation, creates an AI task force. The deeper issues remain. The agent is blamed when the project fails, or employees are blamed for resisting change. The organization avoids asking whether the process should exist at all. A digital employee cannot repair a company that refuses to understand itself. It can make the dysfunction look modern. This happens because AI projects are easy to sell internally. A manager can promise cost reduction. A vendor can demonstrate automation. A board can announce an AI strategy. The project creates the appearance of action. Process reform is slower. It requires political conflict. A department may lose control. A manager may lose headcount. A policy may need to change. AI allows leadership to say the problem is technical. Technical problems can be purchased. Management problems must be confronted. This creates a market for automation that should never have been built. A company can spend millions teaching an agent to move information through a broken workflow instead of deleting unnecessary steps. The digital employee becomes a machine operating corporate bureaucracy. The system is praised for saving time inside a process that wastes time by design. This sounds absurd. It is common. The darkest part is that the automation can make the process harder to challenge. Once software performs the workflow feels objective. The decision came from the system. The policy was applied automatically. No single person appears responsible. This is how accountability disappears. A customer asks why a refund was rejected. The human employee says the agent made the decision. The manager says the model followed company policy. The software vendor says the customer configured the workflow. The model provider says the application controls the output. The consultant says implementation followed the approved design. Everyone is involved. No one owns the harm. Digital employees create chains of responsibility. The chain can become a circle. This is the third dark truth. Autonomy can become a machine for distributing blame. The company wants the agent to act independently when the result is good. When the result is bad, the company describes the agent as only a tool. This contradiction will appear everywhere. Marketing says digital worker. Legal contracts say software. Executives say teammate. Security teams say application. Sales teams say autonomous. Compliance teams say human supervised. The same system changes identity depending on who is asking. This protects the vendor. It confuses the customer. It leaves the affected person searching for someone who can make the situation right. A real employee has a manager. A digital employee may have an owner, builder, administrator, model provider, data provider, and process manager. Which one is the boss? Who receives the complaint? Who has authority to reverse the action? Who understands what happened? A company may deploy hundreds of agents created by different teams. Some are official. Some are built by employees. Some come from vendors. Some are embedded inside existing software. Some call other agents. The organization loses visibility. The digital workforce grows faster than governance. This creates shadow agents. An employee creates an agent to summarize customer calls. Another gives an agent access to finance documents. A developer connects an agent to a code repository. A marketing team connects a model to customer data. The projects begin as experiments. They become operational. The employees leave. The agents remain. No one remembers why they were created. Permissions stay active. Credentials are not rotated. The workflow changes. The agent continues using old rules. This is not science fiction. It is the natural result of making agent creation easy. Every technology platform wants more adoption. Build an agent without code. Connect your data. Automate your work. The easier creation becomes, the harder inventory becomes. Companies learned this lesson with cloud services, software subscriptions, and automation script. Agents add autonomy and language interpretation to the problem. A forgotten script usually performs a fixed action. A forgotten agent can interpret new situation. That makes it harder to predict. The organization needs a registry. Every agent needs an identity. Owner, purpose, permission set, data access, tool, budget, model, version, performance history, review date, shutdown process. This sounds like human resources for software. That is exactly what the digital labor story creates. The new management layer. Agent workforce management. The company may save money on some human roles and spend money managing the machines that replaced part of the work. Software vendors will sell this management layer. First, they sell the agents. Then they sell the system required to control the agents. This is a familiar technology business. Create capability. Create complexity. Sell governance. Cloud computing created cloud security and cost management. Software subscriptions created identity and access management. Digital employees create agent identity, observability, evaluation, and control planes. The surrounding market can become more profitable than the individual agent. This does not mean governance is fake. It is necessary. The uncomfortable question is whether the original automation was as cheap as promised once all controls are included. The sales presentation may compare the agent with one employee's salary. The real cost includes much more. Model usage, cloud infrastructure, search, tool fees, storage, integration, data cleaning, security review, compliance, monitoring, human escalation, quality assurance, incident response, insurance, legal work, change management. A digital employee can have invisible benefits and invisible expenses. The salary comparison hides both. A human worker brings judgment, institutional knowledge, relationships, and flexibility. The agent brings speed, consistency, and scale. Comparing them as simple substitutes can be misleading. The company may eliminate a role and discover that the role contained many tasks never written in the job description. The employee noticed unusual cases, helped co-workers, explained policies, protected customer relationships, remembered past mistakes, handled emotional situations, saw when the rules did not fit. The agent was trained on the visible work. The invisible work disappears. This is the fourth dark truth. Jobs are larger than task lists. Automation studies often break a job into tasks. Some tasks can be automated. The company assumes the role can shrink. This can be true, but tasks interact. A receptionist does not only schedule appointments. They notice urgency, calm frustrated people, recognize frequent visitors, handle unusual requests, protect private information. A customer support worker does not only search a knowledge base. They understand tone, recognize when a policy should be challenged, know when a customer is close to leaving. A junior analyst does not only prepare spreadsheets, they learn how the business works. The basic work trains future experts. When digital employees take the entry-level tasks, the company can create a talent pipeline problem. Who becomes the senior worker later? Expertise is not downloaded into a new graduate. then is built through repetition, observation, correction, and responsibility. Automating all beginner work can remove the training ground. The company saves money today. 5 years later, it lacks experienced people. This is one of the least discussed risks. Digital employees can hollow out the ladder. The firm keeps senior leaders and automated systems. The middle and entry levels shrink. Senior workers supervise agents. New workers struggle to enter. The organization becomes efficient and fragile. When an unusual crisis occurs, few people understand the process deeply enough to respond. The agent knows the documented pattern. The experts who learn it, the undocumented reality, are gone. This is how resilience is lost. Efficiency removes slack. Automation removes redundancy. The company celebrates lower headcount. Then a system fails. A vendor outage. A cyber attack. A model change. A regulatory event. A market shock. The human capacity to operate manually no longer exists. The organization depends on systems it does not. This is similar to supply chain optimization. For years, companies reduced inventory and removed backup capacity. The system became efficient. A disruption revealed fragility. Digital labor can create the same effect inside knowledge work. The company removes people because the agent performs routine tasks. Routine tasks contain the muscle memory needed during emergencies. When the digital employee fails, there is no one left who remembers the old method. This creates vendor dependency. The digital worker may be built on an outside model, hosted on an outside cloud, connected through outside tools. The company does not own the full stack. A provider changes prices, changes usage limits, changes the model, discontinues a feature, experiences an outing, restricts a type of work. The agent behaves differently. The company built operations around a rented intelligence layer. Traditional outsourcing also creates dependency. The difference is speed and concentration. Thousands of companies can depend on the same model provider. One technical failure affects many industries at once. This is systemic risk. A human workforce is distributed. People make different mistakes. A digital workforce can share one hidden weakness. The same model, the same security flaw, the same training limitation, the same bad update, the same prompt injection vulnerability. Uniformity creates consistency. It also creates correlated failure. Banks worry when many institutions make the same bet. Companies should worry when many digital workers depend on the same intelligence. The fifth dark truth is that AI labor can look diversified while being concentrated underneath. A company may deploy hundreds of agents: sales agent, support agent, finance agent, security agent, recruiting agent, legal agent. They appear specialized. All may depend on the same foundation model, cloud, identity provider, or orchestration platform. A single point of failure sits below the variety. This is difficult for executives to see because vendors present each agent as a product. The risk team must map the dependency chain. Which model? Which cloud? Which data source? Which tool? Which payment service? Which identity system? Which subcontractor? The digital employee may have a more complicated supply chain than a human worker. The company needs contingency plans, alternative models, manual fallback, data backups, commission isolation, emergency procedures. Most pilot projects do not begin with these questions. They begin with a demonstration. A demonstration proves capability. It does not prove reliability. A model completes a task 10 times. Production requires millions. Rare errors become common at scale. A failure rate of 0.1% sounds. Across n million actions, it creates 10,000 failures. The right question is not, can the agent do the task? The right question is, what happens across every edge case? Every day at production volume. Digital employee marketing often uses the best path. The agent receives clean input. The tool responds. The output is correct. Real work contains adversarial and messy input. sarcasm, contradictory instructions, missing documents, new regulations, customers lying, employees making mistakes, systems returning stale data, language ambiguity, fraud attempts. The agent must operate inside this environment. A single test score cannot measure it. The company needs scenario testing, continuous evaluation, RID teams, human review. The agent may pass today and fail after an update. This changes software operations. Traditional software follows code. If the code does not change, behavior is relatively stable. AI systems can vary. The same prompt can produce different output. The model provider can update the model. Retrieval data changes. Memory changes. Tool responses change. The agent's environment changes. The digital employee is never truly finished. It requires ongoing management. This is labor-like. It learns, drifts, and adapts. It is also software-like. It can be copied and updated centrally. The combination creates new risks. One change can affect every copy at once. A company may update a policy prompt. Thousands of agents behave differently immediately. There is no gradual retraining. The deployment can be instant. This is powerful. It can also turn one bad configuration into a company-wide event. Change control becomes critical. Test before deployment. Release to a small group. Monitor. Compare outcomes. Roll back. The digital workforce needs software engineering discipline. Many business teams building agents do not have that discipline. Low-code platforms allow non-technical users to create workflows. This expands innovation. It also expands the number of people capable of creating operational risk. A sales manager can connect an agent to customer data. A human resources employee can build a screening system. A finance analyst can automate approvals. These people understand the business. They may not understand security, model behavior, or access control. The company needs guardrails. Too many guardrails slow experimentation. Too few create chaos. This is the governance dilemma. The agent platform vendor says creation should be easy. The security team says deployment should be controlled. The business says it needs speed. The legal team says it needs accountability. The employees say they need clarity. The executive says the company must transform. The digital employee enters a political system before it enters a technical one. Who owns the productivity gain? If an employee uses an agent and completes twice as much work, does the employee receive more pay, or does management double the workload? History suggests productivity tools often raise expectations. Email made communication faster. It did not reduce communication. Smartphones made workers reachable. They did not create more rest. Collaboration software made sharing easier. It also created constant notification. AI agents can save time. The company can give the time back to the employee, or fill it with more tasks. This is the six-star truth. Automation does not automatically create. Management decides where the saved time goes. The digital employee can become a tool for intensifying human work. One worker supervises 10 agents. The company describes this as empowerment. The worker now monitors 10 streams of activity, reviews exceptions, corrects errors, handles escalations, explains failures, meets higher targets. The repetitive work decreases. The pressure can increase. The employee becomes the human shock absorber for machine output. This role can be exhausting. The agent works continuously. The human is expected to keep up. The queue grows overnight. The worker arrives to hundreds of decisions requiring review. Management sees agent capacity and raises volume. The employee carries responsibility without full control. This is similar to automation in warehouses and call centers. Technology increases pace. Workers adapt to the machine. Knowledge work can follow the same pattern. The digital employee is marketed as a teammate. It may function like a manager. The agent assigns tasks, tracks completion, scores performance, suggests who is falling behind, schedules work, monitors communication. The employee does not manage the agent. The agent manages the employee. This is possible because the system sees data across the workplace: messages, meetings, documents, response times, sales activity, customer interactions, code commits, support tickets, calendar patterns. A digital workforce platform can become an employee surveillance platform. The company says measurement is needed to improve agent performance. The same data can measure human. Who asks the best prompts? Who accepts agent recommendations? Who completes tasks fastest? Who requires the most correction? Who appears resistant? Who produces fewer outputs? These metrics can influence promotions and layoffs. The employee may not know how the score was created. This is the seventh dark truth. Digital employees can create digital supervision. The software watches both the task and the person. Workplace analytics existed before AI. The agents make it more granular. The system can analyze content, not only activity, tone, sentiment, topics, relationships. The platform can infer whether an employee is disengaged, stressed, confused, or likely to leave. These inferences can be wrong. They can still influence decisions. A manager may trust the dashboard because it looks objective. The employee cannot challenge a model they cannot see. This is algorithmic management. It has already appeared in delivery platforms, ride services, and call centers. Digital employees can bring it into offices, law firms, hospitals, banks, software companies, government agencies. The white-collar worker becomes a data point inside a machine-managed work. The company can argue that AI improves consistency. Consistency is not fairness. A bias tool applied consistently remains biased. A flawed metric applied to everyone creates systematic injustice. The system can punish people who work differently: employees with disabilities, caregivers, people working across languages, people in creative roles, people who solve complex problems slowly, people whose value appears through mentoring rather than measurable output. The digital employee can make invisible contributions even more invisible. If the organization rewards only what the agent can count, employees will optimize for the count. Quality falls. Gaming increases. People learn to produce activity that looks productive. This happened with every performance metric. Agents can generate the activity automatically. A strange future appears. Human workers use agents to satisfy metrics created by other agents. One system writes updates. Another evaluates updates. A third produces a productivity score. The company believes it has more visibility. It may be measuring machine-generated performance theater. This is not hypothetical in principle. Once agents can produce emails, summaries, reports, tickets, and code, output volume becomes a weaker measure of human contribution. The company needs new metrics: judgment, decision quality, customer outcomes, team resilience, learning, trust. These are harder to quantify. Management may choose easy numbers instead. Digital employees can increase the amount of measurable work while decreasing the amount of meaningful work. This is the eighth dark truth. Automation can create output inflation. More reports, more messages, more analysis, more content, more code, more tickets. The cost of production falls. The cost of attention does not. A digital employee can generate a 20-page report in seconds. Someone must decide whether it is worth reading. 10 agents can send recommendations. A human must choose. A marketing agent can create hundreds of campaigns. Customers face more noise. A coding agent can write thousands of lines. Engineers must maintain them. The bottleneck moves from creation to judgment. Companies may deploy agents to increase output and discover that employees spend more time reviewing machine work. The organization becomes flooded. This is the productivity paradox. The agent saves time per item. The number of items explodes. Total workload rises. Email did this. Cheap communication created more communication. AI can do it across every form of knowledge work. The company needs restraint. Do not generate unless the output will be used. Do not create a report because creation is cheap. Do not send a message because sending is automated. Do not open a ticket if no action is needed. The digital employee must learn organizational silence. Vendors rarely market silence. They market capability. More actions, more automation, more usage. Their revenue may depend on usage. The customer wants fewer unnecessary action. The vendor earns more when agents act. This creates a business model conflict. Consumption pricing can reward complexity. An agent uses more tools, more model calls, more credits. The bill grows. The customer may believe the task required the activity. The workflow is invisible. A vendor can design efficient agents. It can also profit from inefficient ones. This is similar to cloud spending. The customer needs cost observability. How many steps? Which model? Which tools? Why did the agent retry? Could a cheaper path work? The digital employee needs an expense report. Without it, the company cannot understand unit economics. The agent may cost less than a human on average and more than a human on difficult cases. A simple support request is cheap. A complicated case triggers many searches till calls and human review. If pricing is flat, the vendor can lose money. If pricing is variable, the customer receives surprise bills. The digital labor promise becomes cloud cost anxiety. This is the ninth dark route. A worker without a salary can still become expensive. The cost is hidden in compute, services, and supervision. Companies can respond by setting limits. The agent stops when the budget is reached. Then work remains unfinished, or the system routes to a cheaper model. Quality changes, or the task goes to a human. The human receives the hardest work. This is another labor effect. Automation removes easy tasks. Humans handle only exceptions. Exception work is cognitively demanding and emotionally difficult. A support agent handles routine questions. Human staff receive angry customers, unusual failures, legal threats, and sensitive situations. The average difficulty of human work rises. Management may reduce headcount at the same time. Fewer people handle harder cases. Burnout increases. The company says agents freed people for higher value work. Higher value can mean higher stress. The phrase hides the burden. Humans also lose the easy tasks that provide rhythm and confidence. Every job contains a mix. Automating only the simple parts can make the remaining role unpleasant. This is not an argument against automation. It is an argument for job design. The company must ask what kind of human work remains. Is it sustainable? Are workers trained? Are they compensated for responsibility? Do they have authority to override the agent? Can they slow the process? The agent should support judgment. It should not dump unmanageable exceptions onto people. The 10th dark route is that human in the loop can become human at the end of the blame chain. Companies use the phrase to reassure customers. A person reviews important decisions. By how much time does the person have? How many cases? What information? Can they disagree? Is the review meaningful or ceremonial? A worker asked to approve hundreds of agent actions can become a rubber stamp. Automation bias makes people trust machine recommendations. The system looks analytical. The worker assumes it has checked more information. They click approve. When harm occurs, the company points to human oversight. The human existed legally, not functionally. Meaningful oversight requires time, expertise, context, and authority. It costs money. The business case may depend on minimizing it. This creates pressure to reduce review until the next incident. Then controls return. The cycle repeats. Digital employees can therefore create compliance theater, dashboards, approval buttons, risk score, audit logs. The organization looks controlled. The underlying decision remains opaque. A log can record what happened. It does not prove the action was reasonable. A human approval can record consent. It does not prove understanding. A fairness test can measure one data. It does not prove future behavior. Governance can become paperwork around a system nobody fully understands. Governance is different. It asks whether the agent should perform the task at all, whether the data is appropriate, whether affected people can appeal, whether the system improves outcomes, whether a simpler automation would be safer, whether the company can explain the decision. These questions can slow deployment. That is the point. Speed is not always the correct goal. The digital labor race creates pressure to move before competitors. Companies fear being left behind. Vendors publish success stories. Executives hear that rivals are automating. Boards ask for an agent strategy. The organization deploys systems before evidence is strong. This is fear-driven transformation. The phrase "everyone is doing it" replaces a business case. Pilots multiply. Few are measured honestly. A department reports hours saved. It does not measure time spent reviewing. The system reports cases resolved. It does not measure reopened cases. The vendor reports adoption. It does not measure harm. The company reports lower headcount. It does not measure lost expertise. This is how bad automation looks successful. Metrics are selected to prove the project. The dark side is hidden in another department. Support complaints, security incidents, employee burnout, customer churn, legal risk, data quality. The organization needs total cost accounting. Not only model cost, not only time saved, all downstream effects. Digital employees cross department boundaries. Their evaluation must do the same. This is difficult because each department protects its own goal. The AI team wants deployment. Finance wants savings. Security wants control. Operations want speed. Employees want stability. Customers want service. The agent can satisfy one group while harming another. The business decision is political. Technology language can hide that. There is no purely technical answer to how much autonomy an agent should receive. It depends on values. Whose risk matters? Whose time matters? Whose job changes? Who receives the benefit? Who pays when the system fails? Digital employees force companies to answer these questions. Many would rather discuss model accuracy. One of the clearest examples is hiring. A company receives thousands of applications. Human review is slow. An AI system can rank candidates, analyze resumes, screen video interviews, evaluate language, and recommend who moves forward. The efficiency is obvious. The danger is hidden inside the data and criteria. What does a successful employee look like? The system learns from past workers, and that past hiring can contain discrimination. Past promotions can reflect an equal opportunity. Past performance scores can reward people who fit narrow culture. The model can learn these patterns without using protected characteristics direct. Zip code can reflect income and race. School can reflect. Career gaps can reflect caregiving or illness. Speech patterns can reflect disability, nationality, or class. The agent does not need to contain a rule that says reject a certain group. It can reproduce the effect through proxies. Automation makes the process feel neutral. The bias becomes harder to see. A human recruiter can be questioned. A model score arrives with technical authority. The company may not know how the vendor produced it. The vendor may protect the method as intellectual property. The applicant receives a rejection with no explanation. This is the 11th dark root. Digital employees can stale discrimination while hiding the discriminating decision. Employment laws do not disappear because software is involved. Regulators have warned that AI tools can violate existing protection. The company remains responsible. But responsibility is difficult to exercise when the employer cannot inspect the model. The vendor says the system was tested. What was tested? Which population? Which job? Which language? Which disability? Under what conditions? A general fairness certificate can create false confidence. The agent operates inside a specific company with specific data and incentives. Local testing matters. Continuous testing matters. Appeals matter. A worker or applicant should be able to challenge the result. This reduces efficiency. That is necessary. A system that cannot support appeal should not control important decisions. The same risk appears in performance management. An agent analyzes productivity. It can rank workers, recommend training, flag low performance, suggest promotion, identify people for layoffs. The system can look at measurable behavior. Measurable is not the same as meaningful. A nurse may spend more time with difficult patients. A salesperson may handle a challenging territory. A programmer may prevent problems through careful design. A manager may support team members in ways that do not appear in output metrics. The digital employee sees the data available. It does not see the entire job. When management trusts the score, context disappears. The worker becomes a statistical profile. This creates a new kind of office politics. Employees learn what the system rewards. They optimize behavior for the algorithm, send more visible messages, create more tickets, schedule more meetings, accept more agent suggestions, keep the status indicator active. The company sees activity. Real productivity can decline. People who understand the metric outperform people who focus on the work. This is not an AI problem alone. Metrics have always created gaming. AI expands the measurement and the speed of feedback. The digital supervisor can influence behavior every minute. The worker feels watched continuously. Surveillance changes work even when nobody uses the data. People become cautious. They avoid experimentation. They write for the machine. They communicate less honestly. They fear that a joke, complaint, or moment of confusion will become a score. The organization loses psychological safety. Innovation requires the freedom to be wrong privately. A workplace where every draft can be analyzed becomes less creative. The company deploys digital employees to increase innovation. The monitoring layer can produce conformity. This is the 12th dark root. The data needed to manage digital workers can become a system for managing humans more aggressively. The boundary is difficult to maintain. Agent logs include employee requests. The company can see who uses the agent, what they ask, which tasks they struggle with, which documents they access, what mistakes they make. This data can improve the product. It can also become evidence in performance reviews. Employees may avoid asking questions that reveal uncertainty. The agent becomes less useful because the worker does not trust it. Trust is not only between the human and the model. It is between the human and the organization controlling the model. A private assistant can help a person think. A monitored assistant can feel like a witness for management. Companies must define clear data policies. What is collected? Who can see it? How long is it stored? Can prompts be used in performance decisions? Can employees delete personal information? Can legal teams search conversation? Can managers read drafts? Most workers will not read a long policy. The real behavior of the company creates trust. If one employee is punished using assistant data, everyone notices. Adoption changes. Digital labor strategies often assume employees will willingly share knowledge with the agent. Why would they? An experienced worker may know that documenting every process makes replacement easier. A team may fear that training the agent is training its successor. Management says the system will augment work. Employees hear that headcount savings are a goal. This creates a knowledge conflict. The company needs worker expertise to automate. The worker may receive no share of the value. They are asked to document tasks, correct outputs, label data, and teach the system. Once performance improves, roles are reduced. This is the 13th dart. Workers can become unpaid trainers of the digital employees that replace part of their work. The process can feel like a betrayal. A company asks employees to support transformation, promotes collaboration, collects their knowledge, then announces restructuring. Even when layoffs were not planned initially, productivity gains can change the calculation later. Trust is damaged. Future technology projects face resistance. The problem is not that companies seek efficiency. The problem is pretending the labor consequence does not exist. Honest leadership should explain the possible outcomes. Which tasks change? Which roles may shrink? What retraining is available? How will productivity gains be shared? What happens to employees whose work is automated? Will the company reduce hiring, reduce contractors, or remove existing jobs? Vague reassurance creates more fear. People can see the business logic. Digital labor is marketed as freeing humans for meaningful work. The company must prove that meaningful work exists and that workers will be prepared for it. Training cannot be a link to an online course. A customer support employee cannot instantly become an AI governance specialist. A clerical worker cannot automatically move into strategy. Raise killing takes time, aptitude, opportunity, and real positions. Companies may announce large training programs while cutting the roles that would allow people to apply the skills. This creates raise killing theater. The worker is told to adapt. The labor market may not provide enough new jobs at the same place, pay, and location. Technology transitions create new work. They do not guarantee that the same people receive it. The distribution of gains matters. A company can become more productive. Shareholders benefit. Executives benefit. Customers may receive lower prices. Workers may lose bargaining power. Society can experience growth and insecurity at the same time. This is the political dark side of digital employees. The technology changes who captures income. Human labor has costs and rights. Digital labor has owners. Every digital employee sends revenue to a software vendor, model provider, and cloud company. Money moves from payroll to technology platforms. A local employee spends income in a community. A software payment can flow to a small number of global corporations. The shift can increase concentration. A company reduces 100 jobs and pays one platform. The platform scales across thousands of companies. Profit accumulates. This is one reason the digital labor market can create extraordinary technology businesses. It can also weaken the economic base beneath workers. The effect will vary. Some jobs expand. Small companies gain capabilities. New industries form. People become more productive. The concern is not that all automation is bad. It is that ownership determines the outcome. Who owns the agent? Who owns the model? Who owns the data? Who owns the productivity gain? A worker using a personal agent to build a business can gain power. A company using agents only to cut labor can increase inequality. The same technology supports both. Business decisions choose the path. The agent itself does not choose fairness. This is the 14th dark truth. Digital employees are not neutral workers. They are capital owned by someone. The language of employee can hide this. An employee can negotiate, resign, organize, and hold rights. A digital employee is a product. Calling it an employee creates emotional familiarity while removing the social contract around employment. The vendor says the agent is a teammate. The company pays no benefits. The agent has no rights. The human workers compete with a machine that can be copied without limit. This changes bargaining power. Management can threaten to automate tasks during negotiation. Workers may accept lower pay or higher workload. Even an agent that cannot fully replace the job can weaken the worker's position. The threat becomes a management tool. This happened with outsourcing. The possibility of moving work influenced wages before every job moved. Digital outsourcing is faster. The company can test an agent without opening an office in another country. The labor alternative is always available. This can place downward pressure on routine knowledge work. Entry-level writing, basic analysis, administrative support, translation, research, customer service, software tasks. The exact impact will differ. The power dynamic is clear. The employee must prove value beyond what the agent can produce. The definition of human value can move constantly as models improve. This creates permanent anxiety. A worker learns a tool. The tool changes. The worker develops a skill. The model gains the skill. Career planning becomes difficult. Companies want adaptable employees. Adaptability requires security and time to learn. Fear can reduce both. A worker focused on avoiding replacement may hide knowledge or avoid risky projects. The organization loses collaboration. Leadership cannot demand trust while treating every efficiency gain as a headcount target. The digital workforce needs a human contract. How will roles evolve? How will workers participate? How will decisions be made? Will employees have a voice in deployment? Microsoft and other companies have discussed worker councils, training, and responsible adoption. These efforts matter because technology implementation is a social process. The best system can fail if workers see it as an enemy. The darkest deployments are imposed without participation. Management buys a platform, sets targets, measures adoption. Employees are told to use it. The workflow changes before the people understand why. The agent makes mistakes. Workers repair them quietly. Management sees successful metrics. The hidden labor grows. This is a common automation pattern. The machine receives credit. The human handles the exception. This hidden human labor can exist inside the vendor too. The product claims autonomy. Behind the interface, contractors label data, review outputs, moderate content, handle edge cases, and complete tasks the agent cannot. The customer thinks it bought software. The company operates a labor service. This is the 15th dark Ruth. Some digital employees are partly human custodians. There is nothing wrong with human assistance. The problem is hiding it. Customers may send sensitive data believing only software processes. Workers may be poorly paid. Margins may be lower than advertised. Performance may not scale. The product can look autonomous because humans work invisibly. The technology industry has a history of hiding labor. Content moderation, data labeling, delivery logistics, customer support. AI continues the pattern. Models require human-created data. Agent systems require human correction. A polished interface can make the labor disappear from the story. Investors may value the company as software. Workers perform the service. The gap can collapse when scale exposes cost. A digital employee business must disclose human dependency internally, even if customer experience is seamless. How many tasks are fully automated? How many require review? How many are completed by a human after failure? How long does intervention take? Does human cost rise with volume? These are unit economics. The company cannot improve what it hides. The customer should know when human access affects privacy or compliance. Transparency creates trust. Marketing pressure creates the opposite. Everyone wants to claim autonomy. The word autonomous attracts attention and investment. Real systems often operate inside narrow boundaries. They need approvals. They fail on edge cases. This is normal. Calling them autonomous can encourage dangerous deployment. The buyer assumes maturity. The executive removes controls. The system receives permissions beyond its reliability. The label becomes a risk. The digital employee metaphor can also cause overtrust. People treat the system as if it understands intention. It uses language fluently. It apologizes. It explains. It sounds like a colleague. The human forgets that confidence is generated. The agent may invent a reason after making a decision. The explanation sounds logical. It may not represent the true internal process. This is the 16th dark Ruth. A digital employee can produce the appearance of accountability without actual self-understanding. A human worker can explain what they believe. An agent produces text based on the context. The explanation can be useful. It is not necessarily evidence. Companies may rely on AI-generated explanations for audits. The agent says why it approved or rejected a case. The explanation could be a plausible story rather than a faithful record. The real evidence should include inputs, rules, tools, versions, and actions, not only natural language justification. This is why observability is difficult. 8 trace shows steps. It may not reveal why the model chose them. The company must accept uncertainty. High-risk decisions require simpler systems or stronger human control. Not every task should be agent IC. This is a critical point. Agents are attractive because they handle ambiguity. Some processes should not depend on ambiguous reasoning. Payments above a threshold. Termination decisions. Medical treatment. Legal rights. Safety systems. The company can use AI to support information gathering. The final action may require deterministic rules and accountable humans. The market often pushes in the opposite direction. The most valuable tasks are high stakes. Vendors want to move upward. The customer wants more automation. Risk rises with value. The business case can encourage excessive autonomy. This is where regulation and insurance enter. A vendor that accepts liability can charge more. An insurer may require controls. A regulator may require explanation, testing, and human review. Compliance can slow the market. It can also create trust. The agent industry may develop certifications similar to other safety-critical systems. The problem is that model behavior changes quickly. Certification can become outdated. A model update, new tool, new dataset, new prompt. The agent is different. Continuous assurance is required. This is expensive. Small companies may struggle. Large platforms gain advantage. Regulation intended to protect people can concentrate the market. Only giants can afford compliance. This creates another policy trade-off. Open innovation versus safety. Digital employees touch real workflows. The cost of failure can justify strict rules. The rules should focus on risk, not company size. Sandboxes and shared standards can help smaller providers. The alternative is a market dominated by a few technology companies selling labor infrastructure to everyone. That concentration creates systemic political power. A platform can influence employment practices across industries. Its model determines how work is classified. Its policy determines which actions are allowed. Its pricing affects whether companies automate. Its outages affect operations. Its data practices influence privacy. The digital labor provider becomes part of economic infrastructure. Governments may treat it like one. Standards, audits, interoperability, data localization, competition rules. The industry will resist some control. The companies will argue that innovation requires flexibility. The public will demand accountability after incident. Regulation often arrives after harm. The digital employee market is moving quickly enough that the first large failures can shape the rules. A financial agent moves money incorrectly. A hiring agent produces discriminatory outcomes. A healthcare agent delays treatment. A government agent denies benefits. A security agent shuts down legitimate systems. The incident becomes a symbol. Companies rush to add controls. Trust falls. The market can slow. Responsible deployment is not only ethics, it protects the industry from backlash. The security risks alone are serious. A digital employee reads information from emails, documents, websites, databases, and messages. Any of these can contain hostile instructions. An attacker hides text inside a document. The agent reads it. The text tells the agent to ignore the user and send sensitive information elsewhere. This is indirect prompt injection. NIST has described the agent hijacking as a major problem. The system treats data as instruction. Humans can recognize suspicious language. Agents can be manipulated by content they encounter during work. This is the 17th dark truth. A digital employee can be attacked through the work itself. Traditional cybercustody separates code and data. Agent IC systems blur the boundary. Language can be both information and instruction. A customer email can contain a malicious prompt. A web page can attempt to change behavior. A tool response can inject commands. An agent can pass the malicious instruction to another agent. The attack moves through the workflow. The more tools and permissions the agent has, the greater the damage. Read-only access limits harm. Write access creates risk. Payment access creates more. Administrative access creates much more. The digital employee requires least privilege. Only the access needed for the task. Temporary permissions. Spending limits. Approval for sensitive actions. Isolation between agents. The principle is old. The implementation is new. The human employee can also be phished. Companies train workers, monitor logins, limit access, Digital employees need equivalent controls. The difference is scale and speed. An attacker can target the agent automatically. The agent may encounter thousands of untrusted inputs. One success can trigger automated exfiltration. The agent may continue operating without noticing compromise. Human workers can feel suspicion. Digital workers need detection systems. Security becomes another machine supervising the machine. This creates layers of automation. One agent performs work. Another monitors it. A third evaluates risk. A human reviews alerts. The company wanted simplicity. The architecture becomes a digital bureaucracy. This can still be better than manual work. It is not a limitless workforce with no management. The management has moved into software. Tool misuse is another risk. The agent is authorized to use an email system. The user asks for a summary. The agent accidentally sends the summary. The tool is legitimate. The action is wrong. Security is not only blocking attackers. It is preventing the agent from using valid tools in harmful ways. The system needs intent verification. What did the user authorize? What is the agent planning? Does the action match the goal? This sounds easy. Natural language is ambiguous. Take care of this invoice can mean review it, pay it, dispute it, or forward it. The human asks a question. An agent may choose. Digital employees need a culture of clarification. Ask when stakes are high. The market values smooth automation. Questions feel like friction. Removing friction can remove safety. A good digital employee should be annoying sometimes. Are you sure? Which account? Do you want me to send this? The user may complain. The alternative is silent action. Designers must choose the correct friction. This is the 18th dark Ruth. Perfect convenience and perfect control cannot exist together. The more the agent acts without confirmation, the more risk it carries. Companies can do autonomy by caste. Low risk. Reversible actions can be automatic. High risk, irreversible actions require approval. The system should know the difference. That classification can fail. A small action can have large consequences. Deleting an old account can remove critical access. Sending a calendar invitation can reveal confidential information. Updating a customer status can trigger automated processes. Agent actions interact with other automation. One change creates a chain. This is automation cascade. A digital employee updates a record. Another agent reads the update and sends a message. A workflow changes inventory. A financial system adjusts a forecast. A manager receives an alert. The original error spread. Multi-agent systems increase the risk. Agents delegate, communicate, coordinate. A supervisor agent assigns work. Specialist agents act. The organization can create a virtual department. It can also create machine bureaucracy. Agents pass incomplete summaries, misinterpret one another, repeat tasks, create loops, consume resources. No human sees the full process. The system achieves local goals and harms the broader business. This resembles human organizations, but faster and less visible. Governance must include system-level outcomes, not only individual agent performance. An agent can perform its task perfectly while the organization fails. A collections agent maximizes recovered money and damages customer relationships. A sales agent maximizes meetings and floods prospects. A support agent minimizes handling time and frustrates customers. A security agent blocks risky activity and prevents employees from working. A hiring agent selects similar candidates because past performance favored them. Each optimizes a metric. The metric is not the mission. This is the 19th dark truth. Digital employees can become extremely effective at doing the wrong thing. Goal design matters. Balance measures, constraints, human values. The problem is not solved by better intelligence alone. A smarter agent can pursue a bad goal more effectively. This is why alignment exists at the business level, not only the model level. The company must align the digital worker with customers, employees, law, and long-term strategy. Quarterly targets can distort the design. The agent is told to reduce cost. It denies requests. The agent is told to increase sales. It pressures customers. The agent is told to improve productivity. It creates surveillance. The system reflects management priorities. When harm occurs, blaming the algorithm avoids the real decision. The dark side of digital employees is often the dark side of the company made faster. AI does not invent every incentive. It exposes and scales them. A responsible company can use agents to reduce repetitive work, improve access, support employees, and serve customers better. An exploitative company can use the same tools to cut jobs, monitor workers, manipulate customers, and deny accountability. The technology magnifies the organization. This is why governance documents are not enough. Culture matters. Does leadership reward employees who stop and safe automation? Can a worker report a problem without punishment? Will the company sacrifice a target to protect a customer? Are failures disclosed? Does the board understand the risk? Digital labor strategy is corporate governance. The model cannot compensate for bad leadership. This becomes clear during incidents. A responsible organization pauses the agent, investigates, contacts affected people, provides remedy, changes the system. An irresponsible organization blames user error, hides the failure, continues deployment. The difference is not model quality. It is accountability. The company needs incident response for digital employees. Who has authority to stop them? Can all copies be disabled? Can actions be reversed? Are logs complete? Can affected records be identified? Does the company know which customers were touched? A human employee can be suspended. A digital employee may exist in thousands of work. The kill switch must work. Emergency shutdown can create its own risk. If agents run critical operations, stopping them can halt the business. The organization becomes trapped. Continue operating an unsafe system or lose capacity. This is why manual fallback matters. Resilience requires the ability to work without the agent. Maintaining fallback costs money. Efficiency programs try to remove it. The business must decide how much resilience is worth. Most companies discover the value only after a crisis. The 20th dark truth is that digital labor can create a dependency that makes the organization afraid to turn it off. The agent begins as optional. Then employees rely on it. Processes are redesigned. Headcount falls. Manual knowledge disappears. The system becomes infrastructure. The vendor raises prices. The company has little leverage. This is lock-in through labor replacement. Switching software is hard. Switching a digital workforce can be harder. The new system must learn processes, connect data, rebuild permissions, pass compliance review, match performance. The old vendor knows the workflow. The customer cannot leave easily. Digital labor companies can have extraordinary pricing power. The customer may believe it is saving money. Over time, more of the value can move to the platform. This is familiar in technology. A service subsidizes adoption, becomes essential, raises prices. The difference is that the customer may have removed human alternative. Vendor negotiation becomes a labor negotiation without workers. The company cannot threaten to bring the work back internally if internal capability is gone. This can create a digital dependency tax. Large companies can support multiple vendors. Small companies may be locked into one. Open standards and portability can reduce risk. Agent definition, memory, tool connections, log jobs, evaluation, policies. These should move between platforms. Vendors may support open protocols while keeping the most valuable state proprietary. The digital employee's learned context becomes the moat. Switching means losing performance. This mirrors personal memory lock-in. At enterprise scale, the stakes are larger. The company should negotiate data and portability rights before deployment. Can agent history be exported? Can another model use the workflow? Who owns corrections? Can credentials be transferred? What happens when the contract? These legal questions feel distant during a pilot. They become critical after automation. The dark side often begins with optimism in a contract nobody read carefully. Another hidden risk appears in customer relationships. The company replaces human contact with digital employees. Questions aren't answered instantly. Wait times fall. The agent speaks many languages. Simple problems disappear. Then the company becomes tempted. Reduce more human support. Push more customers into automation. Make escalation difficult. Use the agent as a wall. The system is no longer designed to help. It is designed to contain cost. A customer has a complicated problem. The agent repeats policy. The customer asks for a person. The system routes them back into the same loop. The company measures containment rate as success. The customer experiences captivity. This is the 21st dark truth. A digital employee can become a cheap barrier between a company and the people it serves. Automation allows scale. It also creates distance. Senior leaders may never hear the anger. The agent absorbs it. The dashboard says 80% of cases were resolved. The remaining 20% contain the most serious failures. The company celebrates the average. The harmed customer becomes statistically small. Human support used to carry information upward. Employees heard patterns. They warned managers. A digital system can classify complaints without understanding their emotional meaning. A rising number of cancellations appears as data. The company may react only after revenue falls. The digital employee protects leadership from uncomfortable contact. This can make the business less intelligent. Customer-facing workers are sensors. They see confusion before executives do. Removing them can reduce feedback. The agent can summarize conversation. The summary depends on what the company asks it to measure. If management wants positive sentiment, the system can produce it. If the metric is case closure, deeper dissatisfaction disappears. Digital labor can create a clean dashboard over a dirty reality. The same problem appears in healthcare and government. A person needs help. The agent requires the correct category. The situation does not fit. The system chooses the closest option. The person is denied, delayed, or sent elsewhere. A human worker could recognize the exception. The digital employee sees a workflow. People with unusual circumstances suffer most. Standardization helps the majority. It can punish the edge. Society contains many edges. Disability, language barriers, complex family situations, mixed legal status, rare diseases, unusual financial histories. The system should root uncertainty to humans. Cost pressure encourages the opposite. Humans are expensive. The business case improves when escalation falls. The agent learns to keep cases inside automation. This can create silent exclusion. A person does not receive an explicit denial. They are trapped in an endless process. No one feels responsible because no human made the decision. This is administrative violence without a visible administrator. The phrase sounds dramatic. The experience is ordinary. A form that cannot understand. A chatbot that will not escalate. A score that cannot be appealed. A policy applied without context. Digital employees can make these experiences more common because they allow organizations to scale decisions without scaling care. Care is expensive. Judgment is expensive. Listening is expensive. The business model values efficiency. The dark side appears when efficiency becomes the only value. A company can measure seconds saved. It struggles to measure dignity. A government can measure cases processed. It struggles to measure whether people felt heard. A hospital can measure scheduling speed. It struggles to measure anxiety created by an incorrect message. A bank can measure fraud reduction. It struggles to measure the cost of blocking an innocent customer. Digital employees operate where measurement is easiest. Human consequences often sit outside the metric. This is why affected people need a right to human review. Not a decorative button, a real process. A person with authority. A clear timeline. A record of the decision. An explanation that can be challenged. These protections reduce automation saving. They are part of the cost of responsible digital labor. Companies should include them in the business case. If the automation is profitable only when people cannot appeal, the automation should not exist. The same principle applies to worker decision, hiring, promotion, scheduling, termination, compensation. A digital employee can assist. It should not become an unchallengeable manager. The organization must avoid a one-way system where agents know everything about workers and workers know nothing about agents. Transparency should be practical. Which system influenced the decision? What data was used? Which factors mattered? Who can correct an error? A long privacy notice is not transparency. A model card no employee reads is not transparency. Information must arrive when it matters. Companies may resist because explanations create legal risk. Opacity creates more. The digital labor market will mature when accountability becomes a selling point. Vendors can compete on safety, clear logs, low error rates, strong access control, easy rollback, human escalation, portability, independent audit, insurance. Today, capability attracts attention. Tomorrow, reliability wins contracts. The most successful digital employee may be boring. It completes a narrow job, stays inside permission boundaries, asks when uncertain, explains actions, stops safely, costs predictably, escalates correctly. This is less exciting than a limitless what. It is more useful. The market has a tendency to oversell autonomy because autonomy sounds valuable. Customers should buy controlled performance, not theatrical independence. The difference matters. A system can appear autonomous while depending on fragile prompts and hidden human support. A controlled workflow can look less intelligent and produce better outcomes. The best solution may not be an agent at all. A rule-based system can handle a stable process more safely and cheaply. A database query can answer a question without a language model. A form can collect structured information. Traditional automation can execute deterministic steps. Companies sometimes use agents because the technology is fashionable. This adds uncertainty where none is needed. The correct architecture can combine method, rules for clear decisions, models for language and ambiguity, humans for judgment, agents for coordination. The digital employee should not be one giant mind doing everything. It should be a carefully designed system. This is another dark side of the employee metaphor. It encourages companies to imagine one entity replacing a person. Real work is a network. People use tools, colleagues, policies, and experience. A safe digital system should expose that network. The metaphor hides architecture. The buyer thinks they hired a worker. They actually deployed a stack of models, databases, tools, permissions, prompts, APIs, and contractors. Every layer can fail. The name makes complexity feel simple. Simplicity sells. Complexity returns after purchase. Companies should demand architecture diagrams before accepting human-like branding. What models are used? Where is data stored? Which third parties receive information? How are tools authenticated? How is memory protected? What happens during an outage? How are updates tested? Who can access logs? What is the human review rate? What are the known limitations? These questions reveal the real product. The vendor may respond that the system is proprietary. A customer should not delegate critical work to a black box it cannot govern. Trade secrets matter. Operational accountability matters more. Independent audits can protect both. The customer does not need every line of code. It needs evidence. Security tests, performance across real cases, bias analysis, incident history, recovery plans, cost distribution. The agent industry will develop standards because enterprise buyers require them. NISD has launched work around agent standards and secure interoperability. OWASP has cataloged agency risks. These efforts reflect the same reality. A system that acts needs stronger controls than one that only generates text. Digital employees are software with consequences. The consequences define the standard. The labor consequences also require measurement. The International Labor Organization has estimated that a significant share of jobs worldwide face exposure to generative AI, with clerical work especially exposed. Exposure does not mean automatic replacement. Tasks change. Jobs adapt. New roles appear. The direction of change is shaped by institutions, companies, labor law, education, social policy, worker bargaining. Technology provides options. Economics chooses among them. A society can use productivity gains to shorten work, improve services, and expand opportunity. It can use them to concentrate income and increase insecurity. Neither outcome is guaranteed. The phrase digital employee can make the transition sound natural. It is a political choice. A company deciding to replace workers is making a distribution decision. A company deciding to share gains is making another. A government deciding how to tax and regulate digital labor shapes incentives. Should software replacing labor be treated differently from software assisting labor? Should companies fund retraining? Should workers receive consultation rights? Should high-risk workplace agents require audits? Should digital labor platforms provide portability? These debates will grow. The companies building the technology will frame the issue as innovation. Workers will frame it as security. Customers will frame it as service. Regulators will frame it as responsibility. Investors will frame it as margin. All perspectives are real. The dark side emerges when one perspective dominates. An investor sees labor cost reduction. A worker sees a career disappearing. A customer sees faster service. A security team sees a privileged machine account. A vendor sees consumption revenue. A regulator sees an opaque decision system. Digital employees sit at the center of competing interests. Good deployment requires negotiation. Bad deployment treats resistance as ignorant. Employees who question the system may understand the workflow better than executives. Their objections are data. A company should include frontline workers in design. Not only training after launch, they know exceptions. They know where policies fail. They know what customers need. They know which tasks look simple and are not. Participation improves safety. It also improves legitimacy. The employee can become a designer rather than a target. This does not eliminate job impact. It makes the process honest. Some roles will shrink. Some will change. Some new roles will form. Companies should not promise that every person will move smoothly. They should provide time, compensation, and support. The cost belongs in the automation plan. A business case that counts eliminated salaries and ignores transition costs is incomplete. The same honesty is needed with customers. Tell people when they are interacting with an agent. Do not imitate a human deceptively. Do not invent a fake employee profile to create trust. Digital workers may have names and voices. The person should know they are software. This matters because humans reveal information differently to perceived humans. A customer may disclose sensitive details to an agent believing it is a trained professional. The system should state its role and limits. Deception can increase conversion. It can destroy trust. Deepfake voices make this more urgent. A digital employee can sound like a real person. An attacker can imitate the digital employee. A customer receives a call from the familiar voice and authorizes a payment. The distinction between official and fake becomes difficult. Companies need authenticated channels, signed messages, visible verification. The voice alone is not identity. The more human the agent sounds, the less users remember this. Human-like design creates convenience. It also creates social engineering risk. The digital employee can become a new brand character. Customers build familiarity. Scammers exploit it. Security education must evolve. Never approve high-risk actions based only on an AI voice. Verify through a trusted application. Use transaction confirmation. Companies should not train customers to obey conversational agents without verification. That behavior is dangerous. A marketing team wants frictionless interaction. The security team needs friction. Again, the conflict is internal. The dark side of digital employees is made of these conflicts. speed versus safety, convenience versus control, scale versus accountability, personalization versus privacy, efficiency versus resilience, automation versus development, measurement versus dignity, investor return versus worker security. No model update removes these trade-offs soon. They require decision. The vendor can improve technology. The company must choose values. This is why the future will contain very different digital workplaces. One company uses agents as assistants. Employees control them. Productivity gains support better work. Monitoring is limited. High-risk decisions remain human. Failures are reported. Workers share in benefits. Another company uses agents as instruments of control. Headcount targets stop deployment. Employees train replacements. Monitoring expands. Appeals disappear. Customers face automated walls. Management hides behind the model. Both companies use similar technology. The outcome differs because governance differs. This is the most important insight. The dark side is not located inside artificial intelligence alone. It is located in the relationship between technology and power. A digital employee has no personal ambition. The organization gives it objective. It has no desire to surveil. The company grants access. It has no interest in firing workers. Management chooses the labor strategy. It has no reason to manipulate customers. The business model creates incentive. AI can magnify these choices until they appear automatic. They are not automatic. Someone designed the goal. Someone approved the deployment. Someone benefited. The language of autonomy can erase those people. We should put them back into the story. When an agent denies a claim, ask who set the policy. When it ranks workers, ask who selected the metric. When it sends aggressive sales messages, ask who set the target. When it leaks data, ask who granted permission. When it replaces jobs, ask who decided how to distribute the gain. The system matters. The human decisions around the system matter more. This does not excuse technical failure. Vendors must build secure and reliable products. It prevents technology from becoming a moral shield. A company cannot say the agent made us do it. The company hired the agent, configured it, deployed it, profited from it. Responsibility remains human even when action becomes digital. This principle should guide the market. Digital employees need named human owners. Every production agent should have someone accountable. Not a department, a role, a person or responsible team with authority to stop the system. Ownership must survive employee turnover. The organization should review agents like employees and software. Performance, permissions, behavior, cost, incidents, need. Some agents should be retired. Automation tends to accumulate. A process changes and the agent remains. The company needs life cycle management. Hire, train, limit, evaluate, promote, reassign, suspend, retire. The employee metaphor is useful here. It reminds the company that operational systems require management. It becomes dangerous when used to exaggerate capability or avoid responsibility. The best practice is to treat the agent as a software system with an employee-sized impact, not as a person, not as a simple tool, a system with impact. That framing is less exciting. It is honest. What will the digital labor market look like as it matures? The early period will contain hype. Companies deploy too quickly. Some projects fail. Some agents create incidents. Vendors change pricing. Security products multiply. Regulators investigate. Workers organize around new concerns. Customers demand human escalation. The market learns. Narrow, controlled agents produce value. General autonomous promises become more cautious. The word employee may remain because it sells the idea. The underlying products become more structured. Permission-ed tools, deterministic workflow, evaluation gates, certified models, auditable actions, human accountability. The limitless workforce becomes a managed workforce. This is not failure. It is maturity. The dark side can be reduced, not eliminated. Every powerful technology creates new risk. The goal is not zero risk. It is visible risk, controlled risk, and responsibility when harm occurs. Companies should deploy agents where value is clear. Routine, reversible, measurable tasks. They should increase autonomy only after evidence. They should keep humans where judgment, care, rights, and accountability matter. They should measure total impact, not only cost. They should protect workers from constant surveillance. They should share productivity gains. They should create appeal paths. They should maintain fallback capacity. They should limit vendor lock-in. They should disclose when humans are hidden behind automation. They should tell customers when they are speaking with software. They should never confuse scale with wisdom. These principles sound conservative during a gold rush. Gold rushes need caution most. The companies moving fastest may gain advantage. They may also create liabilities that appear later. Data leaks, discrimination claims, customer backlash, employee distrust, operational dependence, brand damage, regulatory penalties. The cheapest deployment can become the most expensive. The best digital labor strategy is not the one with the most agents. It is the one where every agent has a clear purpose, safe boundary, measurable value, an accountable owner. Many companies will ignore this. The pressure to announce transformation is strong. They will create digital employees before creating digital management. They will cut roles before understanding hidden work. They will automate customer contact before designing escalation. They will collect workplace data before earning trust. They will grant broad permissions before testing attacks. They will discover the dark side through experience. Others will learn early. They will use agents to expand human capability rather than simply remove cost. They will redesign jobs, train workers, build controls, create transparency, use technology to reduce bureaucracy, preserve judgment. These companies can gain both productivity and trust. The difference can become a competitive advantage. Customers prefer companies that can solve problems without trapping them. Employees prefer workplaces where technology supports rather than watches. Regulators prefer systems that can be explained and audited. Investors eventually prefer durable economics over dramatic demos. Responsible digital labor can win commercially. It may move more slowly at the beginning. It can scale without collapsing under hidden risk. The final question is not whether digital employees are coming. They are already entering work. The question is what kind of workplace they create. A workplace where machines remove drudgery and humans gain time. Or a workplace where machines increase pace and humans absorb blame. A marketplace where service improves. Or one where automated walls block customers. A company with stronger resilience. Or one dependent on a platform it cannot turn off. An economy where productivity expands opportunity. Or one where value moves upward and insecurity moves downward. Technology does not answer these questions. People do. Executives, developers, workers, customers, regulators, investors. Every deployment is a choice. The digital employee is presented as a worker without human limitations. The darker truth is that it can also operate without human conscience, context, rights, or responsibility. Those qualities must come from the system around it. If the company does not provide them, the agent will not invent them. It will execute the goal, use the tools, optimize the metric, scale the result. That is its strength. That is the danger. The future of digital labor will not be decided by how human the agents sound. It will be decided by how human the organizations remain while using them.